I quit without a plan, and then COVID hit. What's up guys? I wanted to hop in real quick from the future to thank the sponsor for today's video.
The sponsor for today's video is the Bynder app, which is a free app for unbiased professional networking. Instead of focusing on things that don't matter like your appearance or gender and age, the Bynder app allows you to make a profile that takes all of those things away and only focuses on your professional skills and personal hobbies, passions, and interests, which allows us to make meaningful connections while using the app and networking online. You all know how much of an advocate I am of networking and how big of a role it played in my success when I switched into the tech industry. The Bynder app is making it really easy to make those same meaningful connections from the comfort of our home. So use the link down in the description to download it and start using it. I hope to connect with you all on there. All right, back to the video.
What's up guys, it's your girl Nicole Young and welcome back to my channel, the best place if you want to break into tech, learn how to code, or find more freedom through freelancing. So in this community, we have so many people who are making a shift into a new industry, into a new career. They are learning new skills, and I am so proud of all of you for doing that. I think it's amazing. It's not easy to do, so I applaud you. And don't take it lightly that you are brave enough to do something like this. Even if you're thinking about doing it, I think that it's super big. For those of us who are doing that, I think that there is definitely a way of going about things that can help make that transition a lot smoother. So in this video, I am going to share my personal experience of how I quit my job and the lessons that I've learned from that process, and some advice that I have for you all, because there is definitely a better way to go about it than the way I did, and I want you all to have the opportunity to learn from some of my mistakes. So there are a couple of videos where you can watch to gain the full details of why I quit my job and what was going on, but long story short, I was working in a super toxic environment, and it came to a point where I had to choose myself and my well-being over what was going on in the company, and I left super abruptly. I literally gave it 48 hours. On Wednesday, I decided that I couldn't do it anymore, and my last day was that following Friday, and I never came back. I never looked back, and it was a great decision. Ultimately, I am so glad I made that decision because I am much happier now than I was when I was working there, the last 6 months especially. But I think that I should have paid more attention to the red flags that were happening throughout time of me working there and started to plan way ahead of time to be able to quit and make that transition more comfortable for me and just more enjoyable, less stress. So here are a few of the things that I advise that everyone do before they quit their 9-to-5 to pursue other things. Doesn't matter what it is that you are trying to switch into, don't just quit like I did. So the first thing I wish I would have done is saved more money. I had some money saved up, but it wasn't enough that if I was to completely quit my job and not have any work for months on end to be able to fully sustain. And I really wish I would have been more diligent at making a savings account specifically for quitting my job, because there were definitely red signs 6 months, maybe even a year before I quit, that I didn't want to be at that job forever and that I wanted to quit, and things only got worse over time. So if I would have just planned a little bit better and saved up more money, made a little bit smarter decisions with my money, I think that would have solved lots of the little struggles that I faced throughout this time, especially when COVID hit, because that was a really rough thing for me too. The second thing I wish I would have done was taken my learning, and specifically learning how to code, more seriously while I was still working at that company, because I had access to tons of developers, tons of people who had been in tech and had tons of experience in the languages that I was interested in learning. And I was only casually learning at that point in time until after I quit. So I think if I would have taken it more seriously and put time in after work to learn the skills that I have now, then I would have been in a better place to quit, because I would have had skills to then get a job or start freelancing a lot earlier than I had. So I definitely suggest that even if you want to switch into tech or get into a career that involves coding, start learning to code now. Start using time after work to, take online courses or do a boot camp so that you can have skills to fall back on when you are ready to finally say, I'm out. 3 was to start a side hustle. Going along with learning how to code, if I would have learned the basics of front-end web development or even web design early on while I was still working, I could have been doing that on the side to make some extra money and have other sources of income, so that all my eggs weren't in one basket. That's like definitely a huge mistake to do, is to have only one source of income. And I knew that at the time, but wasn't intentional about setting something up because I was just putting it off. I was so tired and drained half of the time, but I wish I would have just pushed a little harder to do that, so that I had other sources of income to rely on when I did finally leave. The next thing that I definitely suggest that you do if you are thinking about quitting your job is to take time to sit and reflect on why you are quitting. For me, I was so caught up in just hating being at work and not liking the environment, not really caring for some of the people that I had to work with, that I never gave myself time to process why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. And that took a huge toll on me emotionally and mentally. But also, if I would have just sat and thought about the types of things that were happening that were causing me to feel the way I did, I probably could have found small solutions to those problems while I was having to deal with them. And it also helps to know exactly what you don't like in the current company that you're in, so that you can look for red flags for your next job, because you definitely don't want to find yourself in a similar situation in your next place of employment, because that's not going to be helpful. It's going to feel like it was a waste. 5 is, I wish I would have used more of the health benefits I got. I used lots of my paid time off, but never really used the health insurance or benefits on that end that I should have. And I definitely suggest, especially if you are making a switch into starting your own business or freelancing, that you use up all of those benefits, make as many doctor's appointments as you can now, so that you are caught up and have some time to work your way up to buying it for yourself. The next thing I wish I would have done was practiced more self-care while I was in the midst of dealing with the toxic work environment that I was in and just the situation of not loving my job. I wish I would have prioritized taking care of myself a little bit more, because number one, it's just so important to do in general, no matter what you're doing. But I definitely think that my ways of coping with what was going on at work weren't healthy. I was coming home and being so drained. I wasn't eating proper food by the time I came home because I didn't feel like cooking. I was sluggish and just wanted to kind of veg out on the couch watching Netflix half of the time. So I didn't have much motivation to do other things. And I think if I would have taken more intentional steps for taking care of myself, making sure I was good mentally and emotionally and physically, that I would have been in a better mindset and space to then start pursuing like learning new things and starting a side business and being more intentional about the steps that I took out to actually quitting. And that leads me to my last piece of advice, and that is to make sure that you have a plan, a full plan. Taking all of the pieces of advice that I just threw at you, make a plan. If it is starting to live a little below your means so that you can save a good chunk of money so that you can be comfortable in your transition, then so be it. But make a plan and be diligent about it and know exactly what it is you need to do and when, so that when you are ready to quit, that there is no hassle, no worries, no nothing, okay? Don't do what I did, because I didn't have a plan. I had literally no clue what I was going to do afterwards. And I would just say, thank goodness that I'm a little scrappy and have great connections, because that was what helped me to get through the first few months of my transition, but also getting through COVID and things like that as I'm building my business. Ultimately, this can be a really scary decision to make. And I think that making a plan and being a little bit more prepared can really ease the anxiety of doing it and make you feel extremely confident in your decision and in yourself and your ability to be okay on the other side of this. Please give this video a thumbs up if you are interested in more content about building your business and quitting your 9-to-5. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so that you don't miss any more videos on learning to code, getting into tech, and finding more freedom with freelancing. I love you guys, I'm rooting for you, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.